Winter is upon us, and while some people may find this time to be inconvenient or just altogether gloomy, I challenge you to find the beauty in the remarkable season that is winter. It's a time for stillness, a time for coziness, for thick sweaters, warm blankets, and soft knit socks, for hot chocolate, brisk morning walks, and homemade hearty meals. Whenever I think of cozy, my mind immediately goes to none other than Bilbo Baggins' house of the Shire. I am of course talking about my favorite book, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read this book every year and feel just as cozy as the first time I read it. Today I'm showing you 3 Shire-inspired recipes that are sure to warm you from head to toe and hopefully inspire you to romanticize this season to the fullest. For shepherd's pie, you start with some hot cooking oil, add diced onions and some minced garlic. You cook this for around 10 minutes until the onions begin to brown. Next, add the ground beef, some salt, and a packet of au jus gravy mix. This will give it that really hearty flavor. Add in a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, and then add in some mushrooms. I used portobello mushrooms for this, but you can really use anything or any vegetable you happen to have in your fridge. Next, I threw in some frozen peas and added around a 1/4 cup of marinara sauce. Once everything is all cooked down and well blended, you can top this with some mashed potatoes, or in this case, mashed cauliflower. I am using this because I'm doing low carb right now and it still turns out absolutely delicious. Sprinkle generously with some Parmesan cheese and add some shredded cheese of your choice. I use Gruyere for this. Bake in a 400-degree oven for around 20 minutes and then turn your broiler on until it is brown and bubbling on top, and enjoy this delicious meal. Next, I'm going to show you one of my favorite soups. You start by frying up some bacon in your pot. Once it's cooked, you take the bacon out, but leave the grease in and cook some diced chicken breasts. I used 2 today. Sprinkle with some salt and pepper and cook the chicken all the way through and then remove it from the pan. I used 2 leeks for this, but you can definitely use more if you want more vegetables in your soup. Be sure to soak them and wash off all the sand. Next, add 1.5 cups of sliced radish coins. If you're not eating low carbs, potatoes are the way to go for this. You'll add half a cup of butter and a tablespoon of minced garlic in the pot, and then stir in all of your vegetables. Add in some salt and pepper and a packet of ranch mix. This will give your soup a very nice flavor. Add in the chicken, followed by some dill weed, red chili flakes, Italian seasoning, and just a dash of poultry seasoning. I eyeball all of my seasonings, so I don't really have exact measurements for these, but no more than a teaspoon and a half of each. And definitely on the poultry seasoning, only like half a teaspoon. Now add 2 boxes of chicken stock or broth. My secret to soups, whether eating low carb or not, is to use Rao's brand, or Rao's, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, brand of Alfredo sauce. This might sound weird, but trust me, it not only makes your soup creamy, but it just gives it a flavor that is one step above other soups. Since I'm using a broth that has no salt, I'm adding some more salt here. You'll want to adjust depending on what type of broth or stock you use. Let it simmer for a good hour and then it's ready to be served. I topped mine off with a little bit of crumbled gorgonzola cheese and it was hearty and delicious. For this delicious French pot roast recipe, start out with 3 pounds to 3.5 pound piece of chuck roast and then salt it liberally around the entire pot roast, sides and all, and you're going to want to let this sit for around 30 minutes, and this is going to draw out the moisture so that you can pat it down with a paper towel. The drier the roast, the better the sear. Once the roast is patted down and dried, add some high heat oil to your pan and let that heat up. I let mine heat up on high and then added in my roast, and I let it sear on each side for around 6 minutes each. While that was searing, I sliced up 2 shallots. Once I took out the roast that was all seared, I added around half a cup of butter, my shallots, and some diced garlic. Excuse me, minced garlic. As the butter melts and you stir these around, scrape up the brown bits of the sides and bottom. Those are really flavorful. Now I didn't record this part, but you're going to want to add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And then you cook this and stir it around until the red becomes more of a rusty color. Next, add a packet of au jus gravy mix. And just give it all a good stir. Now you're going to want to add 3/4 cup of red wine. For this recipe I used Cabernet, and you're just going to let that simmer. Give the pan a few shakes of Worcestershire sauce. Now you're going to add 1 tablespoon of better than bouillon. I used the organic beef. Now pour in 3 cups of beef stock and let this come to a simmer. Once the broth is simmering, add in the roast, and then I added in 2 onions. I just put them into like big chunks. The reason why I didn't caramelize these is because they would completely disintegrate because this cooks for so long, and I wanted them nice and caramelized. So if you put them in raw, by the time this is done, they will be perfectly caramelized, delicious onions. Add in a sprig of rosemary and thyme if you want. I just didn't have any on hand. And 2 bay leaves. Cover it up slightly, leave it open just a little bit for venting, and then add this into a 275-degree oven for 4 to 5 hours. I cooked mine for the full 5 hours because it was 3.5 pounds, and when I opened it, it smelled so good and looked so good. I served this soup style in a bowl with the broth around it and the caramelized onions, and my family said it was the best roast they've ever had. I hope you enjoyed these recipes today, and I hope you have a wonderful winter. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.